Hi everybody, I'm really happy to be here today with you, and I really hope that you are enjoying so far the conference, and also I hope that you will enjoy my talk, which I will be presenting right now. So don't waste any time and jump directly to slides. So what is my talk about? My talk is about the headless, going headless with Next.js, and we will be going from zero, so really from scratch, to a Next.js 0 till the deployment onto Vercel. And we will be creating a simple website featuring articles and a featured article element, and we will deploy it into Vercel. And all this we will do using the Next.js, Storyblok, and the Vercel. That's great, but let's first get some info about me. So who I am, my name is Snopko, and I'm the head of the developer relations in Storyblok, which is partially also this talk about. And I was like also the frontend line and doing a lot of frontend stuff, creating application in various technologies. So that was enough about me. But it's basically also almost everything I have in slides, because I really like the live coding and I would like to teach you something and show you how you can create it from the scratch to the deployment. If you want to follow me, just follow the link here in into GitHub, and let's now start with the Next.js. So how you should start with Next.js, and this was a big question also for me some time ago. And I basically came to the conclusion that the best way to start is just use yarn create next app and just name your project. And this will create your project with all the necessary stuff, and at the end you will end in the project like this. So this will be like your setup. What you should do next is definitely like test if everything is yarning. So I will just write yarn dev and hopefully it will start. And I have to restart it. So you see, live coding is always hard. So the localhost is running, and let's check the localhost. And right now at the moment we see on the localhost the welcome screen from the Next.js, which is really cool. And basically the Next.js is set up. So what is the next thing we need to set up? And this is like the setup of the system, where we'll be like having our content. And in this case, it will be Headless CMS called Storyblok. And you just create a K account and all that kind of stuff. And after that, you can log in. And you will end in the dashboard like this, where you can see all your projects or all your current spaces, as we call them. And then you can also like create a new project or new space. So I'm going to create a new space, and I'm going to give it a name very similar to the project I created. It will be going headless Next.js minus showcase. And just see that I'm creating really everything from scratch and not going to go for duplicate or play with demo. So, okay, the first screen you will see after creation is basically the content section, where you can also see the home and a little guide. As I am your guide today, then I will close this guide and explain what we can do right now. So here is a home, which is the first story already created by the Storyblok, just to fill some default stuff, but you can remove it later. But I can already click on it and see that there is some visual editor, which is not configured right now. So that's okay for now. And here on the right side, there is a editor, like content editor, where you can see our content. So let's focus here on the content and minimize the visual editor part and see what is going here. So here I have a first component, it's called teaser. I can change it. And I also have a component grid, which I accidentally click. So let's change to next.js conf. And I can save it, like go to save button. I can publish it and like trigger the webhooks on the Vercel or anywhere you would like to deploy it. And then after I click here the arrow down, I can also preview the draft content of I just created. And here you can see that, okay, this is basically my content. So there are some columns which are the part of the component defined. And then there is a component called feature with a field name and with the value feature1. So this is like where you will get is like simple JSON you would get from the GraphQL or for the REST API if we connect it with Next.js. That's pretty straightforward. And as like I said, we can like edit it, we can hit multiple times save, we can preview the version history, all that stuff. Everything is working. But here the visual editor or visual preview is not working. And here the first sentence you can read is that we should use this token, which is a draft or preview token for our content in the draft mode. So how to do that, and what we need to do this to connect it with the Storyblok with the Next.js. So we need to like stop our localhost for now and install a few additional packages. And I will get there. So it's Axios, which will be responsible for communication between, the REST communication. Then there's a Storyblok JS client, which is basically created by Storyblok team and use Axios to communicate and get the GET requests and all that kind of stuff to get the content. So you can use it also in the vanilla JavaScript on any other JavaScript packages you would like to use it. And then we have a Storyblok React package, which will bring one special component we will be needed to make our visual editor even more powerful as it is right now. So it will be even clickable, and we will see a real-time editing experience, the changes. So let's install it and let's wait a little bit, but I already installed it. So I will jump to the utils folder, and then I will create there a Storyblok service.js service, which will be responsible and configure for the communication with the Storyblok. And here, as you can see, I'm just importing the Storyblok client, and then I am saying like it will be in dev mode, so we will be only getting the draft content for now, as this is only as a sample talk and not a real solution. It will be a little bit different in the real world. So here in the token, I need to add my draft token, which I can get here, or I can go back into the settings and I can also create a multiple keys. So I could go for production key, but that should be probably saved only in the Vercel or where we deploy it. But for now, we will be working with the preview key. So let's go back and add it here. Also, I don't encourage you to do it as I did right now, because you should save your preview key or token in the .env file or in the ended or environment variables, because this is not really super secure if you push this into the GitHub on any other versioning system. So great, this is the Storyblok service, which then has few functions like getting the cache, and then there is a getter function to get the content according to the slug and params, and some other functions I will get to later. But for now, I just created, install some packages, add a token. So let's start one more time our server and see if everything is running. So we are in dev. Let's jump to the local host. Let's refresh one more time. And hopefully it will be fast. Yes, great. And everything is running. So there's no error, no problems. Great. But still, do we see any change in the story here in the home story? No, we don't see any change in the home story. We still see only this guide. And I would really see here the preview page from the Next.js. And the question is how to do it. It's very easy. We just have to override this your server address, because this is the first hint we have. You should add here your server address, and then it will be requested here's the page, or will be a page shown here, which is from that address /home. So let's go into the settings, and then here in the location, the default environment, we can override this quickstartme.storyblok.com, and we are going to override it with the local host. So I will get here the local host. But if I would already deploy this project to the Vercel, I could also create a multiple preview URLs and create something like a dev mode and add here, for example, the Vercel URL, which will be running also as a preview for my editors or my writers, content creators, and all those people who are not non-technical people but need to take care of the content. So let's save it and let's head back to the story home. So in the home story, we see right now a change, and it's an error, and this is a good thing because we see an error from the Next.js. And basically what is happening here is only that Next.js doesn't know anything about this home slug. So we are asking hey, can you show me the page /home? And if you know something about the Next.js, then that means that basically here in the pages folder, I should have a home.js, or maybe our router should know, or should be a mapping there that should say hey, if you are asking for the home, you should land on the index.js. Okay, I could code it, but I have even better solution for that, because I have a little hack for the visual editor, as this is more a common use case, that the homepage has to have a name or some slug, which is usually home, but in the real world it's living on the empty slash. So let's go to the config of this visual, of this story of individual preview, and override the real path only for the visual preview. So I will override it to the slash, save it, and at this moment we see the welcome screen from the Next.js, and that's great. So we see that this is kind of progress. We see already something nice. But still, we have here on the right side some content. And I already showed the content in the draft JSON, so it could be delivered, but still we don't see it here on the left side in the visual preview or on our local host. So what we need to do is to understand that Storyblok is component based. So it's built basically on the idea of atomic design, and the content is component based content, as I would love to say, because all the content is in the components. And these components are defined in the component section here. So we currently have, like by default, a 4 components, but we can create as many as we need, and we can also remove these 4. So as here you can see, I have 2 types of components. One is a content type, from which we can create stories, and then one is a nestable component, from which we basically use them as the blocks. And this is from where is coming also the name Storyblok. So we have our stories and the blocks. So let's open the simple one. So feature is a component which have only one field called name, and this field is the type text. Right. The teaser, the same thing. It's only one field called headline and of the type text. Right. But in the grid it's a little bit special. The grid has also only one field. We called it columns, but it's typed the blocks. And the blocks means that I can add there any type of block or nestable block I created and defined. So I can also specify and write some restriction which kind of the components you can use here. So for now, I would be really happy that in grid I could add only the features. So let's create like whitelist only features and let's save it. And the page which is a content type and not a nestable block, I have also a body which is type blocks. I can use any of the nestable components from here. And this is how the Storyblok is working. If you think about it, you can basically create a never-ending combination of all your nestable components. You can nest them in each other, and this can be so deep that as you need. And basically this is exactly what we do also in Next.js or in the React or in the Svelte and Vue.js. So all those component-based atomic design frameworks we are using today and which are really cool to use because give us so many possibilities. But what is missing? Why we don't see the preview here on the homepage or in the story? So the reason is that we didn't create those components in the Next.js. So let's head to the Next.js and fix this. So first of all, I will hide this on the right side and now open the components folder. And as you can see, I a little bit cheated. The components are already there. It's just not working as it should be. So let's really quickly explain the code of the component. So here is the first one, the feature component, which is very simple HTML. It just renders a div with the h2 and there is a name. So the name I showed you in the JSON. And basically the name will be sent here into the component through the prop called block. And this is a pattern I will be using more or less in all of my components. This very special thing here is the SB editable. And the SB editable is coming from the Storyblok React package. And this will make happening a lot of stuff happening. Like a little bit outline, we'll be able to click in the Next.js application and open also write content in our content editor. So you will see that very soon. So keep in mind this SB editable and you will see it everywhere. So the next thing would be a teaser, the same approach, a div which h2 where I'm rendering the headline and basically also SB editable and the prop block. So let's go for the grid. Also the same thing, SB editable wrapped the undefined unordered list, and there is basically a map function for the field columns which go through all the nested blocks inside or the content inside and render a list items with dynamic component as a special component, because in this case I wouldn't know which component I should render. I don't know if the unordered list or the grid contains features or the teasers, because I didn't whitelist it before from the beginning. So it could be like multiple, here could be a different stuff. So what is exactly doing the dynamic component is maybe the question. So the dynamic component is just kind of a crossroad, which will decide which component should be rendered in the time. So here, if I know about the component, so if it's not undefined, then I will render the component from this object. So if it's teaser, I should define teaser. If it's grid, then grid. If feature, then feature. Where also I will send the the prop block. And then if I don't know the component, then I will use a placeholder component, which I also created, and this placeholder component will just render like, hey, this component is not defined in the Next.js, you should create it in the Next.js. So how this exactly works is very easy. Let's see that here in the draft JSON. You can see that this is one of the is a content or object of the content, and this is of the type component teaser. So we have this component which contains the value teaser. That means that this block.content will return a teaser to me, and then I know like, oh, okay, so I need to render there a teaser. So this is this teaser, which is this component, and import it here. And at the end, I will import a teaser.js file. So easy and so straightforward. And I will then use it on the multiple places, this dynamic component. So if I go to the pages, then you can see that also on the page, I'm rendering basically a dynamic component because I don't know in what order will be which components. And then I am creating the main also, and basically going through all the objects in the body, which is an array of the objects, and then rendering those components. Super easy, super straightforward. Great. So you could see that I use a styling like here also on the feature. This is a tailwind, so I need to also include the styling here of the tailwind. So let's restart a little bit. So remove the global CSS, which is default from the Next.js theme, and add the tailwind. And let's restart this. This is usually faster a little bit in this case of the CSS. And let's see if we see any change here in the editor. I do a hard reload to see, and all we see right now is change of the styling. So the tailwind is included, but we still don't see the components. Even I already showed that I have those components there. And the answer is very easy for this question. It's basically we didn't ask Storyblok for that content. We prepared everything, like the whole environment there in the Next.js, but we didn't still call the get function to get my content from the Storyblok. And we will do that in the index.js file because we are rendering only one page in this simple tutorial, and basically it's only, or in this talk, and it's only homepage. So this code, which I'm going to remove right now, is the default code from the Next.js theme, which will render that nice welcome screen. And now I have these 40 lines of code, which basically are responsible for that everything is also working. So first of all, I know that always I will be rendering only a pages. So, and I don't have an article page, I will not have a contact page, so I have only one type of the page, so there is no need to be a dynamic. Then also, like, I'm creating a layout CSS.js file using where I include initialize a bridge between Storyblok and the Next.js, which is maybe a little bit a different topic, and it doesn't need to be understood right here, but you can check it in the GitHub, very easy source code. But let's save some time. And then I'm also importing the Storyblok service, which I will be using to get the content. So what I'm doing in the component. In the component, I'm creating the state, because state has a very cool feature that I can like edit it in the later, and I will use that for the real-time editing. So, and the state contains a story, a story variable with all the data from the prop res data story. So the rest I will get through the get initial props, where I'm expecting a query. And I should use this query basically to get my content, but as I'm on the index page and always will be asking here only for an index content, so I can go directly from a home story. So here you can see I'm asking for story, which is home. So the slug is home, which is the name I have here, the home. Okay, let's forget this line for a moment. I will get back there later. Then I will return the result from basically that get, and that will fill my state. Then if the component is mounted already, then I will initialize the editor, which is responsible for the connection between the Storyblok editor and the Next.js application. And at the end, I will just render a very simple code, like, hey, render the layout with the page, and the content of the page will be the content of the story. Super easy and straightforward. And after the save, and if I now show and preview the content of my localhost, then we already see the right content and we can play with that content. But what we additionally see here is also this outline. So I can even go click here and you can see that here on the right side, there's a right component content open. So I can like click here and see it like the preview of the whole page. So here's the page and this is the body of the page. If I click here, I can see the teaser and this is the content of the teaser, and I can go here and change even the text to hello world. Isn't this cool? So, and let's save it. And after the save, I see even the reload. And this is because I mentioned that init editor, so initialize the editor. As we know that we are in editor, we can initialize additional stuff with the Storyblok React. And this is the SB editable I mentioned in Feature.js, where I will send a little bit a code and identifier, and then this component is able to identify and also do this outline that if I hover here, you can even see which component I am hovering on. So, and then also it works this live clicking, that if I click on here, then it's the right content open on the right side. So this is the SB editable responsible for, and this is really cool. But how works the save button that it is reloaded? For that is responsible the Storyblok service, and here in the init editor, I basically initialize that I am listening for some Storyblok events, as I know that I'm in the Storyblok event in the draft content, and I'm not on the production server. I know that this is my experiments where the editors and writers are working and they want to see live changes or real-time changes and do like experiment with the content. So I listen here for two events from Storyblok, which is change and published, and this is basically the save button and publish button. And if one of that events happen, then we do a reload. And this is cool, kind of really cool, but there is one problem with it. If you all the time I say hit the save, I'm like creating new version in my versioning history of the story, and I'm really polluting basically that versioning history. So if I did a lot of small changes and hit like many times save, there would be like so many inputs, like so many versions that it's almost unusable in the real time, like in the real world, this versioning. So what you would like to do is do experiments without hitting the save, and we can do that because we have a modern framework like Next.js, and the Next.js can edit the state, so we can listen for the input from the Storyblok, so input event of the Storyblok, and through the event we are sending the updated content, and then we will be replacing the state. So here we are going to replace the state of the, like in this case in the home page, so by the content from the event. So here the story is replaced with the event.story. There's it's a little bit more complicated, just like straightforward replace, but basically all you need is these few lines of code, where I will get back a little bit later. So that's it. So as I uncommented this code and save it, we should now see something more cool. Like, hey, let's change this back to hello Next.js conference. And you can see that it's live editing as I'm hitting and typing. So I can also reorder the stuff. I can even like copy paste the stuff. I can open the grid and select all of that and duplicate the stuff. And then I can always like click on the different components, reorder them and experiment with them. I could even like do a configuration here for a styling, like do you want a red background or what kind of layout would you have? We can create multiple tabs. It's all possible, it's great. But the reason why I like this is because the editors, writers, content creators are able to experiment without the saving. So they can like check, like, is this content working really on the mobile devices? It's not really working. We should remove these features, because it's really strange if we have them here. So now this is looking really better, but also like does it look good on the different resolution? Yeah, okay, that works. So let's save it, and then I will do only one save when I'm really happy with my content and all the editing I did. And that's really nice. I think like this is amazing. But still, I said that we will be creating articles, and this is like the let's say hello world sample with all the basic setup explained. But let's create articles, and let's create a featured section here on the home page very quickly. And let's do that in the 10 or 15 minutes I left to me. So we will need to go back to the components section of the Storyblok where we create a new content type, because probably in the future I would like to render those articles as pages. So let's create a new type, call it article, and it will be a content type, not a nestable component, because we will create stories from this. So great, and let's add there a few fields. So first one will be hero image, then I would go for a title if I'm correct. Give me a second, I need to check my note. Yeah, then let's go for intro, then author and prose, where we keep the text of the article. And right now let's set up those fields. So hero image should be an image probably, so I would go for asset and here choose image. Great. Then title, I'm quite happy with the text. It should be a simple text and very short. The intro, in my opinion, should be a text area, so it should be a little bit longer text, but basically not a lot of possibilities for editation and no restriction. The author, there could be like multiple possibilities how to implement this. I would go for the simplest one, so only one author, and from the single option as a source of the artist will be also like this component definition. So I am just going to like define here Samuel Snopko, and let's copy paste it. It's faster, and these will be the options for us, and Dominic will be the second author. And let's save this. Now, one last time is the prose, is the where we write our basically our text about the article text. So that could be markdown, which is pretty nice, but I'm really like more fan of the rich text where we can add like custom classes and other stuff. So let's save it, and this is cool. So it's done. I just created very simple article definition. It's basically a schema of article. I didn't create any article, but I now can tell to my writers, content creators, or anybody who will be creating those articles, like, hey, you don't have to wait for me till I will implement the front end for it. You can go and create those articles, and you can do that like with pretty nice user experience. I will just create for you a folder for this. So let's create a new folder called articles, and let's say that this folder will contain only articles, and let's save it. Okay, open the folder and create our first article, because let's name all the first articles my first article. That should be the name of every first article. So let's save it. And okay, we didn't have a template because we didn't define anything for article / my first article. So it's logical that we will get an error right now from the Next.js, but let's focus only on the content and hide the visual preview. So first of all, let's add an image. So I have 3 different images here. So this is like first one. And let's fill some title and some lorem ipsum here. Okay, and the author was me, why not? Here would be headline and some text. And then of course the styling. So like, let's go for headline too. And let's save it. Okay, let's go back. And we need at least 3 articles, so it will take a little bit time. Wait for it. There will be second article. I will add here a different image to see in the preview then that we're doing a really different stuff. Let's change this to 2, and let's change also the author and wait a little bit. Oh, it's really fast. Cool. Let's save it. And the last article will be copy, and it will be like third. Duplicate, open, add a new image, which okay, then this should be a 3, and this should be my name. Great. So let's save also the third article, and we created 3 articles. That's super. And now we want to, or I at least want to, have a section here in the visual preview. Like here, I would like to have a featured articles, like articles I will select by hand, and I want them I want that they are shown on the homepage. So how to do that? Probably I should add a new block, but I don't have a block featured articles. So we need to create a new block for that. So let's go back to the component, create a new component definition. It will be this time nestable, and let's call it featured - articles. Okay, great. So I created that, and there will be only one field for now. I just need to pick some articles. So let's create an articles field. And these articles, I would like to choose from those 3 articles I already created. So this should, and I would like to choose also multiple of them, so not only one. So have the possibility to have like 2, 3, or 4. So let's go for multi option, and let's choose a source, stories, existing stories, and even restrict this only for the articles folder. I don't want to like choose a different type of stories. I want to choose only articles from the articles folder. So let's save it. And that's it. So basically I created another component right now, already second in this short time. And now I can go to content, to home, and on the home I can add a new block. And already I see here like featured articles, great. I can add the featured article. And as I set already in the Next.js my placeholder, the Next.js already knows like, hey, we don't know this definition. You didn't create any component like this in the Next.js. So we are getting the placeholder here. Like the component featured article has not been yet created. Great, okay, thank you for your information. I will create that in a moment. But for now, let's set also the content and choose all 3 articles there. And let's save it. I could even publish it. And if we check the draft.json, then also in the draft.json, we already see the UIDs and the component. So here's the component called featured articles, and the field articles contains the UIDs of the articles we already created. Great. I think that's huge. That's nice. So let's head back to the Next.js and create that featured articles component. And that's this one article here, a featured article that I already prepared, of course. It's a little bit more HTML, but at the end it's very simple. Which we forgot is that there's also rendered title that I will have to go and fix in schema very quickly. And then here we are rendering the unordered list using the articles, basically looping, and we are rendering the article teaser component. So let's check one more time the article teaser component. We're just doing nothing else as rendering the title, intro, and the outro from the prop that is getting, and here also rendering image using the resize function, so resize image function, which is doing nothing else as using the Storyblok image service to basically scale down and also cut the images to 300, 250. So this is a very simple solution, and you can see also like the whole article is very simple. Okay. I think this is working good. This is straightforward. So let's fix the title and let's enable it because I didn't import it in the dynamic component. So let's import it also using the dynamic component and let's see if everything is working. And yes, we can see the preview already. So let's jump here and let's remove this grid because we don't need it and save this very quickly to see. And here is the little bug. And that's the title we forgot to add. So let's fix at first this. So I will open the featured articles by clicking here, and here I can also define the schema of my component. So let's add the title. Right, I am adding a title, and I like the order. So let's keep that on the first place title. It should be first, and let's save it. And now I can fill this. So featured articles, and this is cool. So this looks really nice. And there's like maybe 2 more questions we should answer. And that's the first one is like, I would like to order this articles because you don't see it's like 3, 2, 1. It's kind of random. I didn't choose this order. So I can do that by clicking here the button and basically order is. So let's make the first one first. So we do first 2, 3. And I have all that like live preview, like I can unselect and then select and then like change even the order. And everything is great, it's working. Okay, let's keep it like this. And there is like second question. Some of you maybe ask, okay, but you didn't send any content there, and you are right. If you look into JSON, there are only UIDs of the articles we created. There's not really a content. So how we did that? And we did that. If you remember, there's like 2 lines that I said, hey, remember that for later. So in the index.js, I told basically to Storyblok service that it should resolve. So this is like basically a parameter that you should resolve some relations. Because the featured articles here has a relation to articles in the articles field. And we just asked like, please resolve all the relations in this field. And then as there are 3 articles, we are going to resolve them, and we will send all the content of the article to also that component. So great, so that's easy. And the same thing we did also in the Storyblok service as we resolve the relations here. So if as we are like updating it in the real time on the input event. So straightforward. And that's pretty so powerful, and because really about the Next.js and the modern framework like Next.js make this possible, that it's so super powerful and super fast, as you can see right now. And what is even more cool about this approach is that as we have a component-based atomic design, basically, I can use these featured articles. Like I can go copy paste them and add them like on the second place and like change this headline to Samuel's articles and like select only my articles. Great, I can save it and I can go for publish. And this is it. So what would be the next thing? I also promise you to deployment. So let's jump. So basically my content here, like code is done. So let's jump and deploy this. So how you would deploy this to Vercel? I will open the Vercel and I will hit here the import project. Basically, I will go for import git. Then here I prepare my repo. So I already kind of push there, imagine. Then I will add here my repo. Great. Let's continue. And let's change this to showcase because I already have this project, and then deploy. And this is like right now start deploys meant, and this deployment would take as the first time like 40 seconds around, but you can do it much faster. But as I am already like prepared, I already deployed one time here, talk from 0 to Next.js 0, and I want to like show you also something from the settings. So if you go for webhooks, you can go for GitHub integrations, and here we can create a new webhook, which will be like Storyblok publish. My branch is called main, so let's create the main branch, right? And copy this webhook. And now I will go back to another space, which is like the already coded the Next.js here. And you can here also see the same setup, the articles. There is also the homepage, and even it's already deployed to the Vercel with some preview. So it's almost the same thing a little. Maybe there is a whole name of the Dominic of our CAO. So let's jump back to the settings and let's set up the webhook. And all you need to is like basically take this very long URL, which I copied already, go here into the webhook in the settings of your space, add it here, hit the save button, and then as you can see that here, if I go to the overview and visit the page, and you can see this is how the pages look like, I can go open the home, and I can change this to hello Next.js world, and hit the publish button. And if as I hit the publish button, I should see also like the new deployment, and hopefully we will see it here in a second. And yes, there is it. So a new deployment, I just started the new deployment by hitting the click and basically set up the whole process in a few seconds. So, and this is what I wanted to like show you in this talk, like going from scratch to a deployment in a matter basically of 30 minutes or 35 minutes. And the last two slides I would like to show you or like present to you are that if you want to finish this page by yourself, because we didn't finish that, there is more of it. You can set up the Next.js with multi-language. You can have also like set up the additional components. So if you want to create a project like this, like with featured articles, header title line, a big hero image, little bit navigation with multiple pages, and also like English and German version of it, just go to storyblok.com/tp/next -js-react-guide, and you can read. It's a very long guide and very detailed one. But if you like in the general consider like how to start with the Next.js, we created a little surprise for you, for all of you from the Next.js conference, that we created a Next.js technology landing page on the storyblok.com/tc/Next.js, where you can learn anything about the Next.js, how to go for headless with Next.js, how to integrate with Storyblok, all the interesting articles and plugins, boilerplate, getting started without even installing anything in your local machine. So go there and check it out. So, and that's basically everything today. Thank you very much for your time. This next would be a live Q&A, but I am not going to do a live Q&A because I took a lot of time from the talk, and also I'm like in the very different time zone. So I will be answering and very happy to answer to any of your questions in the Discord channel, and also in the Storyblok Twitter or Samuel Snopko Twitter. Just go there, follow me, or just write me DM if you want. My DMs are open, and I'm very happy to answer any of your questions, and hopefully this will help you in your future Next.js projects. I'm very happy to be here and enjoy the rest of the conference. See you someone in the future.